Hello and welcome to the Ballcard Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector,
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And this is season 6, episode 15, and Gary is still a jerk and he is still out on the water.
I'm still on a boat,
What
y'all.
could you possibly be doing at sea for 14 days?
Sleeping, reading, eating, writing. Those are the 4 activities that I am participating in. That's it. Those 4 things.
That really sounds like something that you should spend thousands of dollars to do on a boat.
Absolutely. The most relaxing environment to do all of those things.
Not the beach. Hey, not the sunshine.
Look at this pale skin.
Happy wife, happy life. I understand that dynamic wholeheartedly. I know that's a piece of this here. But 14 days of just eating, sleeping, and reading.
Here's
writing.
the thing. And writing. You're right. Here's the thing. Like,
what are you reading, Gary? Let's let people in to see how big of a nerd you are. Let's go.
Oh, I read sci-fi fantasy stuff.
Let's give them a list. We got some book nerds in the Discord.
It depends on what I'm feeling like that day. This cruise, I'm probably, let me think of what I brought with me or what I'm going to take with me since we're recording this ahead of time. I will probably take some Brent Weeks, Black Prism series. I will probably take some Peter V. Brett, Demon Cycle. Of course, I'm writing my own fantasy novel, so I'll be writing. And yeah, and then as far as eating and sleeping goes,
I know that. I know the eating. I've seen it.
We have an interior stateroom, one of the suite rooms on the spa balcony, set the spa floor. And those interior suite rooms, the darkness is complete. And I mean, you sleep. It doesn't matter. If you want to go take a 3-hour nap at 11 in the morning, your body will think it's 1 a.m. and you sleep like a log. It's amazing. And then there's something to be said about 24-hour access to food that I don't have to cook.
Guys, when I tell you that I have seen, like in my lifetime, the highlights of binge eating, I'm going to guess no less than 40% of those have happened in the presence of Gary. And of that 40%, 80% of those incidents, 60% of those incidents have been on a cruise ship.
I won't be doing that this time, though. I'm not gonna be able to. I got that GLP-1, baby.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the binge eating, you won't physically be able to.
Gary, I'm just gonna say it. I don't care how you feel about it. Taking GLP-1s is the becoming an arena club affiliate version of being fat.
Says the guy who's like, if my insurance would cover it, I'd probably get on those GLP-1s too.
Yeah, prove that. When did I say that?
On the phone? A couple days ago.
When?
Well, you want an exact date?
I'd like to see proof of this. Oh. Guys, you heard him lie a couple weeks ago about the deviled eggs. This is no different. And while we're at it.
Wow.
Gary, I'm going to do story time here.
Okay, tell story time.
It's one of my favorite Gary stories of all time. April showers bring May flowers, but you know what else it brings? Really soggy rounds of golf. And so I'm going to rewind.
You're going way back.
Deep track. We're probably going 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Gary and I are playing with a group of friends. Gary and I are the only two who have been athletic at some point.
Correct.
In this event, right? And I already know one of you is going to say, well, I didn't know 7th grade baseball does not count, Randy. Okay. I'm just gonna, because you knew that comment was coming. You knew that comment was coming.
Oh, so good.
All right. So we go golfing and Gary is full blown Gary mode, which means, hey, I've assessed the situation. We got a group of way more than we probably had 6 people with us that day. Yeah. Too many. And most of the people here don't care and they're just having fun. So Gary naturally is like, how do I make this as competitive as possible so as to ruin not only my fun, but the fun of everyone around us?
Oh, no.
Well, this was like me being pretty early into golf. Like I was not good, but that day I was kicking his butt.
Yeah, which wasn't the norm.
No, because I had been playing for 4 minutes, and Gary's like, I played in Hawaii 20 years ago when I was a boy. This is easy. Anyway, I could go on and on about what swing he was working on that year. But there's a par 5 where you got to clear this little creek bed to reach into. So anyone with common sense knows this is a layup shot. Get on up and down for birdie. Well, because Gary is a couple strokes behind somebody that doesn't care that he thinks he should be beating, he's like, I've got to go for it. I always hit my 6 iron 230 yards. He always has a line like this of some sort of a certain club that one time he caught a cart path. So from then on,
okay,
I hit my 6 iron 250. I'm just spitting facts here. I'll bring in witnesses
right now.
So he hits it and barely bounces over the creek bed. And we start pulling up, and he's like, I'm just going to jump across there. And we all say, every one of us, I don't know if I do that. It's pretty wet. To which Gary replies, he's annoyed that he's not on the green, and he's going to make light of the warnings that were just said. So warning heeded, not actually, absorbed. Gary takes 2 steps across the creek. Second step drops immediately to his knee. Did Gary fall down? No. His foot submerged in what we can only assume is Shrek's swamp. And he is knee deep with a club in one hand, and he still hasn't addressed the ball. So now Gary's mad because he's embarrassed and he's losing to me, right?
And my entire foot is just drenched. Thank God it was like
sewage,
16.
Like
it's
sewage.
Bad.
It's
bad.
The mud was like black. It had some oil in it.
It was rough.
It was septic, right? This wasn't an expensive course. Gary picked it. So he stands over the ball, finishes up, and now he's acting like this didn't happen. He's acting like we shouldn't be laughing. He's acting like he stepped in a puddle in a Walmart parking lot, not that he's in shorts too, by the way. One leg is completely covered in mud. So then he steps up to the tee box, and as he's settling in, squish, 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 it took us 10 minutes to regain composure. And to this day, if anyone in our circle uses the phrase swamp foot, it only refers to Gary.
You went deep track right there, man. Okay.
How'd I do?
Respect.
It was a good story.
Yeah, it's a solid story. Yeah.
I don't remember who won.
I don't either.
But we all
remember that.
Watching that. There were no losers in that round of golf. That was the one out in the middle of the country where it was literally like a half of a barrel flower pot was what the 150-yard markers were.
It was Homestead Springs, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's back when we would do the what was that, last minute tea time websites all the time. Yeah, they would give rounds away, and then fast forward 8 years, COVID happens, and then you can never play golf for cheap again.
Right.
Let's do some show and tell. I'll go first.
You go first.
A couple weeks ago, we had Mikey B's cards on the podcast talking about breaking, making a case for breaking. Really good interview. If you haven't had a chance to see that, go check it out. I hopped in one of his breaks, took a filler spot at $30. Hit this Haley Van Lith rookie out of Panini 101 purple, numbered to 25. At the time of recording this, since you're getting ready to go on your trip, there's no directs, there's no licensed WNBA rookies to 25. So this is kind of a little bit of a first to the market situation. So we'll see what happens. I hope it sells this weekend. If I still have it by the time this drops, I priced it wrong. What's your first one, Gary?
My first one, and I actually, both of mine this week are from cards that I picked up on Whatnot. And a lot of people will try to tell you that if you go on Whatnot, you're only going to be able to buy cards if you're willing to pay 4 or 5x for them. That is not true in the least. I picked this card up. It doesn't suck. Oh, yeah. Oh. That guy in that grade in a Mojo. And I think I paid like 38% of what it's worth on Whatnot. Yeah. So
you sent the seller a tip, right?
If you're patient, no, because the seller, I said, what do you want for it? He gave me the number and he just ran it at that number. It wasn't a $1 auction. So if you are patient, you can source cards on Whatnot, guys. That was my first one.
All right. Second one here is not a crazy one, but it is a very, very cool card. This is from 2012, 2013, totally certified blue, John Stockton 3-color game use patch.
Gross.
And it's like those old school, the green, yellow, purple. I mean,
look at those biceps Stockton's rocking there too.
That's a little AI. Let's calm down. Calm down. Stockton did not have the guns, Remember,
they didn't have AI back then, so that's either some touch up or something, because he's rocking guns in that shot.
during the 92 Olympics, he was out in public with his family walking around. Nobody knew who he was. Like, there's
Sounds
content
right.
of like him, like everybody's like, he's like, I can go anywhere. I'm the most non-NBA, looking dude ever. But he was a menace.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was a menace, absolute menace. So that's a cool one. Game use patches. I still think people talk about, is Panini gonna get some nostalgic love? And the answer is yes. At some point, people that got into this space while Panini was king are going to look back at that. And when it comes time for cards that I think have upside, I really do think Panini game use patches are more rare than they should be.
There
And I
aren't a
could
lot
see,
of them.
yeah, I could see a world maybe 5 or 10 years down the road where a lot of that kind of stuff gets more love again.
Kind of like Exquisite does now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Exquisite's like such a premium product, but I think in principle, yeah, I think it's a similar thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are 2 fun ones I grabbed.
My second one.
Oh, I like the shape of this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Another whatnot buy, 62 Musial. And I know that 62 doesn't get a lot of love, but again, patience pays off. This was a card that was a $1 auction, and I got it for about 50%.
Nice.
Which is a win.
Yeah, I would take vintage Hall of Fame stuff at 50%.
Yeah, all day long.
If I had
you had to. Yeah.
If I had to, I would do it. All right, fun little show and tell. Today we have a special guest, Jaycob from Wiffle Breakers. Jaycob has, around the same timeline as me, made a shift towards more of an emphasis on live selling. So there's a lot of discussion around selling low-end cards, comparing the traditional eBay model, high volume, low end, to ComC or value boxes or live selling. A lot of the conversation we're having in this interview is centered around a shift to live selling that we're seeing across the board, and how small business owners that sell cards for a living are adapting to that and making that a viable part of their business. So really great discussion. You'll definitely want to stick around for that.
Yep.
Quick reminder, this weekend, tomorrow, if you're watching this as it drops, we're in Cincinnati at Eastgate. I am. Gary's not. I will have special guests with me. And then Northgate, Cincinnati, the following week.
Yep.
So be sure to come out and say, hey, let me buy your cards. Yeah, let me buy your cards. You heard Gary was getting stuff at 30 to 50%, so I'll pay 40. I'm a giver.
Oh, gosh.
All right, where are we going to send everybody, Gary, before we jump into this interview?
We are going to go just a little bit north to Delaware, Ohio, and drop in, talk to Keith at Newhart Cards for Shop Talk.
Hi, this is Keith at Newhart Cards, and this is Shop Talk. This week we're going to talk about something that just kind of popped in my head recently, and that was basically supply and demand, right? So I think in COVID we had a little bit of obviously a crazy market. So everything kind of popped up. Wax, if you had wax on Monday at $100, it would be $150 on Friday. We have a completely different market now. Let's talk about that real quick. I really think that it's going to become tougher and tougher to find unopened product. So as of right now, there are 3 or 4 major distributors that we deal with, that we work with, and a lot of them are completely sold out of 24 and 25 product football. Can I find 25 certified to put on my shelves? Absolutely not. Gone. Can I find 2025 Prism Draft to put on my shelves? Absolutely not. Can I find 2025 Phoenix to put on my shelves? Absolutely not. Why? Because we now have basically a monopoly, right? Topps has taken over everything, so they do not allow distributors to have any product at all. So the distributors right now are just selling through the current inventory that they have, and they won't be getting any new inventory in. So for us to find older product to put on our shelves, getting really, really tough. It's a completely new environment that we're dealing with now. Again, retail, Topps/Fanatics has said, you're never going to run out of retail. We're always going to be popping through. So if you want Topps Chrome Update, man, we got Topps Chrome Update. Every week we get offered cases and cases of retail. So that's never going to be a problem. However, moving forward, trying to find 24, 25, going back 23, 22 product, getting super, super hard to find. And I think that's kind of going to be a problem going forward. And that we see also rolling through to singles now as well. So to where we were spending hand over fist cash in the shop, going, able to pay at our values. Now we're going to have to look at other ways to source. We're going to have to go to shows. We're going to have to buy on Instagram. We're going to have to buy on Discord. So the market is on fire, right? It is going crazy, and it's a good thing, but also some downside. Also, real quick, don't buy your wax boxes on eBay. I've seen so many people, so many bad things happen where a dealer's going to open a case, take the case hit, sell the rest of the boxes. So trust your local card shop, trust Dave and Adams and Blowout and the big boys. Don't buy wax on eBay. So this has been Keith at Newhart Cards, and this is Shop Talk.
All right, thanks, Keith. Coming up here in just a sec, just as I mentioned, Jaycob from Wiffle Breakers, get out a pen and pad. This is the learning section for those of you that are starting and growing businesses. I know a lot of you have asked tons of questions around why I've made a shift from the low end stuff on eBay to whatnot. There'll be so much for you to learn in this. So if you're walking through this, trying to figure it out, enjoy. Well, welcome in, everybody. Super excited to have our guest Jaycob with us from Wiffle Breakers. Welcome to the Ballcard Show, Jaycob.
Hey, thanks for having me. I've been buying from you guys and seeing your shows for multiple years now, so it's great to be intertwined with your content now.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I remember this was probably 1.5 to 2 years ago, somewhere in there. You were walking a show, looking at some stuff in the showcase, and I started talking about the stacks of low-end crap I had on my table. I was like, oh, I do a high-volume low-end store. And you're like, so do I. And I was like, well, I don't think he knows what I mean. And then I was like, oh, this guy's way ahead of me. He's been doing this longer than I have. And it just the conversations we've had, one thing that's really certain is we're on a very similar wavelength with our approach to moving cards. Your depth of knowledge in the space with selling, the metrics, and it's become a real good sounding board just kind of organically. Hey, here's something I worked on. And a bigger context of the conversation today is we both have had high volume, low end eBay stores, and we both have begun to wade into live selling. And it's been like a holy crap moment for our businesses. Mm-hmm. And what I'd love to do today, if you're cool with it, Jaycob, is I want to hear your story. And then I want us to spend time working through. I think there's a lot of other people in this space, other dealers with small businesses that are considering making some of the shifts we have, or they have frustrations and feel like they're the only one dealing with them. I think we can help them feel like one of us in this. And Absolutely. Maybe you and I can brainstorm a little bit about some different stuff that we're trying in our business that works out really well. So long monologue. Sure. How did we get to this moment, Jaycob? Tell us your story.
So I've been selling cards on eBay since 2007, but I've been collecting and selling. Like I was set up at card shows at specifically Jamie's Flea Market in Amherst, Ohio. I know you guys are Ohio guys. I don't know if you've ever made it up there, but I was walking Jamie's Flea Market, buying and selling cards with my grandma before double digits. So 5, 6, 7, I was out there selling cards. But I've been around them my whole life. People talk about they go to college, they stop collecting or whatever. Never really stopped for me. I've always been in it, mainly because I've always been so close to baseball, whether it's playing, whether it's playing. I've been playing for 30 years, still in the game. So I've just always been attracted to baseball, playing fantasy, watching, and, playing myself. So I've always been close to it. Cards were a natural thing that have always been just like along with me. I watched baseball with my dad growing up. I watched it with my brothers. Yeah. And I never really stopped. So I bought and sold. I sold on eBay. eBay was always like a side project for me for literally 13 years. It was just eBay singles. I would sell anywhere from 5 to 20 items per week. Nothing too crazy. And then 2020, obviously COVID hit. And my brother, I have 3 brothers, by the way. My brother brought up the idea of doing breaks. And I had always wanted to do it, mainly because I watched breaks and I didn't enjoy what I saw. I thought there was a better opportunity to do like team collector type breaks, more involved where you talk about stuff. So I did breaks for 3.5 years with my brother, and it was always so enjoyable. I truly enjoyed it because it was about the conversation. It was about talking about the cards, not only just like flipping through and, the people that open all the packs, they stack it up and then they just fly through to the hits. That was never us. We did base tops. We did base heritage. We would say every player's name. We would talk about players, not too slow, but not too fast either. So we did that for a little while. It got to be a little time consuming because I was doing, like we talked about, sorting and shipping all by myself. My brother helped, but we did not live together. So I took the cards with me and I would do all the shipping. So it just got to be time consuming. Then I transitioned to a high volume, low end store, and the shipping for that started to take over. I was like, I don't want to do breaks anymore. I want to focus on this, focused on the singles. And now that has transitioned to, hey, this is taking up too much time. I can move higher volume as well as higher dollar cards. And I'm transitioning out of the low end side of it. But it's not without, like a little bit of pushback. Like I'm enjoying, I've always enjoyed the idea of setting it and forgetting it with the low end store. Yeah. So I have struggled with the idea of pulling the plug on that, stepping away from it. But, I think adapt or die, that'll be the pretty much the theme of this conversation. We just have to go where the money is. And like you and I've talked about multiple times, buy back the time. We just got to get our time back, man.
Let's go to where the pain is first. When we think about shutting something down like a store, I know that I've shared my situation with the high volume, low end eBay store. Where it was like, I was in a situation in my family where I needed to be home. I didn't have time. And I was like, this store is going to lay the foundation for the possibility of a full-time card business. Right.
Yeah.
And I think set it and forget it is true. But I think what people vastly underestimate is how much time it takes to get tens of thousands of cards listed, even with the scanner, even with all the tools. How much time is spent when you've been outsourcing all weekend and it's Monday and you're like, oh, we had a good weekend. And somewhere along the way, I would start to look at my phone and say, oh, I had a good weekend. Crap. It was like the money was coming in. That wasn't the issue, but I knew I did not have more time to invest into that week. And I had all the other things in the business that were. So when you talk about hesitation, I know for me, it was like, whether I like it or dislike it, it is still providing that steady drip stream, or the random week where eBay is like, oh, this guy's actually has been doing a good job. Let's give him, randomly you get like 3x your normal sales on low end. Yeah. What's the big hesitation? Like when you look over that, like what makes you nervous? Everybody's like, just live sell.
Yeah.
And I'm always hesitant, like me pulling the low end stuff out of that. It took me, I was probably there for 3 months before I did it.
Yeah.
So talk me through what's going on in your mind.
So I have not pulled the plug as of the time of this recording. So when you guys see this, hopefully I have, I've made the giant leap, but I will be 100% honest with you. It's ego. I've built up what I consider a very strong eBay store. I don't have only $1.99 stuff. I literally have $1 to $1,000 and everything in between. And it's an ego thing where I think I've built something that is valuable, that I've put, we've just talked about how much time have we put into this. I think the inventory is good. There is a lot of junk in here. It happens when you get to 50,000 listings, which we both did, you happen to have a lot of junk in there.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to turn over, like I'll try and take out 300, what I consider terrible cards and bump them up. I just can't keep up with that pace even. And I think I need to do a full reset and just do it. But I don't want to, admit failures. That's what it kind of feels like. Is but in the end, it's 2 steps backwards, but 5 steps forward is what this is. And I know it. I just haven't made that, that last final step to do it. So
yeah, I think for me, I needed a validation that the time was not wasted. Like what you're saying, ego. For me, I think it was like, yes, there's that. I built this. And because everybody's like, everybody thinks it's cool if you're like, hey, I have an eBay store with 50,000 cards. You're like, holy crap, that's a lot of cards, right? Yeah. This guy knows what he's doing. Well, I have a scanner and Card Dealer Pro. That's and I just kept doing it. That's pretty much all it
multiplied it over and over and over again. Yep.
I ran so the big part of it was, what do I want to do? Like, if I'm shutting this down, what am I doing with all this work that happened?
Yeah.
And I know that's not how the math works out, but in my mind, that's
already done.
This work is here. It's parked on those tables. Like, what am I doing? And I ran an auction where I was just like, I grabbed 80 bags of just pulling bags out of order made me nauseous. Because for the last 2 years, I have worked meticulously to keep everything where it's supposed to be. So I run 83 auctions, and it absolutely crushed on Whatnot. And the buyers were thrilled with it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I didn't waste my time.
That's fair. That's fair.
But again, mine was more low of the low end, because I'm doing shows 40, 45 weekends a year.
Right. And you guys are moving different inventory at different paces. And I'm okay with, transitioning to the $20 and up only on my eBay store. But I don't have it sorted as cleanly as you, in the sense that you talk about your SKU bags, 30 to 50 cards. If I had that, I'd probably do a similar sellout. But I have it sorted, in some tabs, it's 2,000 cards from a case break of Heritage Series 1, whatever it was. And then a 40 pile of all that are $3 plus, $6, $8 cards. And I'm going to sort it out where I'm going to literally trash 50% of it. I'm going to pull some to the side that I think, hey, if I ever need to do this again, this is going to be a good starting block. And then the rest will move to whatnot, or, maybe I make a $1 box or $quarter box, try and get it to a dealer, because I don't set up at shows. I'm always walking. So I just have to think about it in that sense. I do like what you're doing, and I'll probably do a version of that, but I can't quite do it as cleanly as you. But yeah, the idea of pulling out and then still making some money off of it, you're getting the value back. It makes total sense to me.
Yeah, but let's talk about what we have loved about the high volume low end store, because it's easy for us to be like, live selling is the new shiny thing, right? It seems like this is not the big conversation you and I had a few months back. We were texting, was just like, this isn't going anywhere, and I will regret if I have the right personality and skill set to be successful with this. This is one of those things I will look back and be like, I should have bought Bitcoin at $8,000. I really should have.
You're not kidding. Yeah.
I don't think it's going anywhere. No, I don't think live selling is going anywhere.
It's so interesting that even in 2026, we're saying this, that like we both say it, we're still early to this. There's still opportunity for growth. There's still opportunity for new people. So if you're watching this, you're like, hey, I missed the boat. Absolutely not. If you have knowledge, if you enjoy sports cards, there's opportunity. I promise. Just, study the people who you think are doing a good job and try and replicate some of that. But you talk about like the idea of like, oh, I missed out. I was contacted by Whatnot in 2020 to be on their platform. And I was like, no, dude, eBay is everything. eBay is the GOAT, and they are the standard. And this is one of the things that I filmed in like a what have I learned video of doing this full time.
Yeah.
eBay is great. They still have the eyes. Whatnot is great. They have the eyes. Fanatics Live is great. They have the eyes. It is brand. And you guys, I'm watching you do it in real time. You're building a brand. I re-upped all of my social medias to try and build the brand, and the people will find you. The people, like-minded people who enjoy you, who enjoy your content, who enjoy, talking or having a conversation about cards. That's where you'll find success, not necessarily a chosen platform. Right. So, that's one of the things that we talk about, or we've talked about, like, oh, I don't know if I want to sell on Whatnot. It doesn't matter. If you're good at it, people will find you. Yeah, they'll find you. And when you talk about, like, this is going to be around for a while, I want to share a little story. I was going to the post office, and I mean, when you're a high volume seller on eBay, you're building relationships at the post office, it or not. You're building relationships. Who I am. Yes. And when you bring in a tray full of standard envelope, they look at you like, I have to accept this, but I hate this. And I look at them like, I hate it too. I don't want to give this to you. There isn't a good solution. This is just what we got. But a few weeks back, I shut down the store a couple weeks back, and I walked in with my last tray, and I said, hey, from now on, it's just Whatnot. And they love Whatnot because I can scan my packages, whatever. This sounds like a Whatnot commercial. This is not what I'm trying to do. This is just our platform. But the most interesting thing happened. The girl working at the post office that I've been talking to for a year and a half, whenever I would drop stuff off and just say, hey, whatever, she goes, oh, I love Whatnot. I just found out about it, and so did all my friends. I was like, oh, really? What do you do? We just watch everything. I have that on more than YouTube. I love it in the background. I can hop on and somebody's selling gold or somebody's selling clothes. What do you sell? I said, sports cards or cards, and there's giveaways. Like, this is where she spends her time. The next week I go in, I drop off my packages. You had a really fun show last night. She watched it. So I think there's an entertainment component of live selling. Why is QVC still around? Let's talk about it. It still crushes. It's still on TV. Yeah. It still has ad space. Yeah.
it works. And I think
Yeah.
when you say that, that's where I get excited, is like this type of experience, call it entertainment, sales, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It is not going anywhere, and people are just now learning about it. And we are in a position where collectibles was kind of more on the forefront of this. So that's where I get excited of like, I'm all in on learning this space and figuring out what I can do to make it efficient. But there's a piece of that traditional eBay store model where you are going to forfeit a section of cards that you can move, and you can buy, and you can flip for profit by going exclusively to live, unless you can build such a massive audience that you can niche down to this type of show, that type of show. So, before you would pull the plug, what other hesitations do you have, like when you look at like what eBay can provide that you're not so sure that live selling can?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this together in person. The idea of eBay low-end selling has always been so inviting. One, for the set it and forget it, but two, because it is a low barrier to entry. You don't need a scanner. You don't need Card Dealer Pro. You need to know just sports. If you go to if you have a 3,200 count box in front of you and you scroll through and you pull out 50 cards at $1 or a quarter or 10 cents at some of these shows, if you know what you're looking for, the players you're looking for, you can turn $20, maybe that stack costs you $20, into $150 of pretty good inventory.
Yeah.
And if you consistently do that for a couple of weeks, it's a very low barrier to entry, with just a tiny bit of knowledge and some, runway to list and to enjoy it. There's opportunity for everyone. So that is something I've always enjoyed. I have a risk tolerance that I hate the fear of failure, but it is the number one concern that I always have. So this never felt like failing, because I would always sell a card or two cards from whatever I bought the previous weekend. So there was a safety net involved with low end selling, or there still is, and I feel comfortable with it. And something that, again, like I said, I haven't pulled the plug. I will. I'm telling you, I will. But I think it'll be a slower grind of trimming it down, of just where I'm comfortable. And then eBay, the low end selling, it does provide value for things that don't sell well on Whatnot. There is a discrepancy between what sells well on eBay and what sells well on Whatnot. You do need good and when I say Whatnot, I do mean live selling in general. eBay Live is gaining some steam. You and I have talked about TikTok. The shop feature, the live shop feature, that is absolutely going to gain traction. And District does it. There's more live selling platforms coming. Yeah. Like this
traditional auction houses are doing it. Like I think Pristine is linked up with a guy that's in Ohio, a younger guy I know that has done a lot of different content and stuff. And I think he just does a single show for them. So I think you're making a good point. I want to go back where you were talking about the math on low end.
Yeah.
Because the thing that we get the most now that we have a little bit of a following and a community from our content is people that'll come and say, I see you did Whatnot. I do eBay too. I'm just taking the leap. And the first thing I'll ask is like, well, how long have you been doing eBay?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I've been doing it for 3 months and I already have 1,000 cards. So I'm just going to run it, even if I get X, Y, and Z. And I love the spirit. I love the sentiment. But you talked about
learn, like
want
to learn. That's great. That's great. Yeah.
You made the point of saying it's a lower risk, right? Yeah. That you were going to make a mistake that costs you a ton. Mm-hmm. The trade-off is the reason we encourage that is because you will have thousands of reps.
Yes.
Before you ever try to say, with a room of 15 people watching, how do I sell this card? Yeah. And if you could not give that elevator pitch on the card that's in your eBay inventory on Whatnot, it may not be time for that yet.
Yeah.
And I think that the low end space and the low end store is a fantastic way to do that. Let's talk about sourcing low end. Yeah. I never felt more like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber when they had the briefcase than when I walked around a mall show with $300 for my low end store.
Yeah.
Talk to people about it. I don't know if you had the same sentiment, but talk to people about that, what it's like sourcing for that.
I remember going to card shows and like taking out $200 cash from the ATM and thinking like, I can't even imagine how many cards I could buy with 200 because it is a lot. If you find the right sellers, the right boxes, and you're looking at, and you know, you guys talk about show selection and different show sizes. Go to a 30 table show, go to a 50 table show. There are guys that are set up with 5 tables of quarter cards.
Yep.
And it was a dream come true to go through those. And I'm, like you said, taking home a briefcase full of cards that I brought $200 with.
Yeah.
And it is a training ground. You know what to look for. You know what players to look for. You suddenly start to notice image variations a little bit more. So I'm a primary baseball seller. But you guys, I see the football content that you guys cover and the cards that you talk about from the 90s and 2000s that have lower print runs. If you are in those boxes, that's how you get reps. That's how you find deals.
Yes.
You can't just show up to one show one time, be like, well, I didn't find any $20 cards in the quarter boxes, so they're lying. Yeah. It is at bats, it's reps, and it's repetition. And you may not want to hear that, but I went to, probably 10 shows, and the 10th show I was like, oh, yes, now I get it. Now I know what I'm looking for.
Yep.
And it's the training ground. It's literally a training ground. That's what Low End provided for me. And I watched it happen with I would list a case of Bowman Draft. And let's say I listed all the paper prospects from a case of Bowman Draft where I bought it for $60 from a breaker or something. Guess what? Paul Skeens sold in 8 seconds. I undersold Paul Skeens. But now when I go to a show on Saturday, I'm looking for Paul Skeens.
Yep.
Tyler Soderstrom started the year on fire in 2025. His low-end stuff, his 2024 rookies just started flying off my eBay store. When I went to a show the following week, I looked for $5 Tyler Soderstrom. I looked for $10 Soderstrom. I looked for $5 Cal Raleigh. I looked for $10 Cal Raleigh. And it slowly just keeps multiplying where you're learning more, you're seeing things ahead of time. So that low end and the ability to sell all these cards brought in opportunity that I don't think if you're in the trenches, you don't necessarily see it as fast. You eventually see it. Someone like Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs. There's no doubt about it. But the slow progression when he was having a good April, a good May, MVP talk, there's growth along with it.
Yeah. I mean, you learned about the Cal Raleigh when I tried to hook you up with that Bowman auto. I couldn't believe it.
It happened. It happened.
I love what you're saying about so you're really talking about the feedback. Like when I list this card, when am I going to have feedback, enough data to say, hey, this stuff sells, this stuff doesn't. Yeah. And as I became more efficient with my store, that's what created the issue, was figuring out what people wanted in multi-quantity. So for my eBay store, because I focused on the lower, like mostly $5 and below, I started targeting vintage sets people build, obscure things like Beavis and Butthead cards, things that if somebody's buying one, they might be looking for more than one. And then I would target a coupon that only rewarded people buying 8 or more cards, right? So when you start figuring out and getting feedback on what people found collectible, even in a lower grade, that's when all of a sudden it took off. And I was like, I can't keep shipping this.
Yeah. It's interesting. The more you sell, the less you can list. So the more successful you are at low end, the less time you have to put in new stuff.
Yes.
So there is the ceiling on it that, don't get me wrong, it is a profitable, manageable ceiling to make money. But you're only going to have so many cards that you can sell and ship in a day. And trust me, I've maxed out that day multiple times, and you can ship a lot of cards in one day, but on that day you're not listing anything because you just shipped all day. And
people that build this don't want to just hire it out right away.
No, it's hard. I run it from my house. I don't want people in my house.
Right,
it's a completely different vibe. If I had a shop, it'd be different, but that's not the case right now. And maybe someday I am running out of a secondary location, but for now, I don't need people in my house. Like I just want to ship cards and chill, listen to music, put on a movie, whatever it might be. But what I was going to talk about was the ability to, like, as a single guy who doesn't have kids, like, I could work at any hour, and that's kind of what eBay, like, low end, did for me. If I wanted to golf in the day and then ship all night, or get up at 6, get all my shipping done and have the day, that was something that I greatly valued. That live selling, I think, does have to shift. You have a small window where you can't necessarily, well, you're just going to have more eyes in the evening is what it comes down to. So there is a shift where low end is, it's more of a, like melted ice cream. It fits in the cracks. Whereas Whatnot is a very rigid, like, this is what works best, pretty provingly. So
you talked about this before we started, but it's important as our business grow that we're looking at different channels and lanes to move inventory through. And I think people listening to this might be hearing, which we're not saying, just run stuff that's a little bit bigger and just start live selling. And anybody that's going to be efficient with their card business, you're not going to just constantly buy big cards at 50%. The only way you're getting cards like that is if you're taking a few 4 rows of stuff that's going to take you 6 months to even. So you need channels for that. So talk me through, like, let's say what you're envisioning, Jaycob, in 6 months, whatever eBay is going to become, it is.
Yeah.
And then whatever live selling is going to become, it is. And then you had even mentioned maybe another lane as well on another platform. So how do you approach this idea of moving all types of inventory, even if you're shifting your models?
Right. So I kind of just scratched this a little bit earlier when I said, like, eBay, there's eBay cards that sell well and there's whatnot cards that sell well. There are cards that sell well on both. There are cards that sell well only on eBay. There are cards that sell only well on whatnot. And I think that is important to recognize those. I'll give a straight answer right now. The All Aces card, the Shohei Ohtani card, everyone knows about it, but the All Aces of everyone else do very well on whatnot. And there's opportunity to buy those right now on eBay and sell them on whatnot.
And they're still in value boxes. They're still in some of those $quarter, $2 boxes.
Especially, I mean, and again, Otani's the name, but Kershaw, Maddox, those guys do very well for me. So always on the lookout for those.
Wild, dude. How many of those did you sell for $1 back in the day?
A ton. Yeah, I opened multiple cases of 2023 Series 1, and I know I sold Kershaw's for $1.99 free shipping. I guarantee it.
All right, mental note here for all of us. Every single person ripping 2023 said, that's a really cool design.
Everyone.
And no one did anything. Nobody built a box of this stuff out. But every single person was like, man, that's a nice insert. And it's so interesting to me that a quality design on an insert can still hold up. It may take a few years, or the Ohtani factor, which is insane. But we're talking about 2023. We're not talking about a second year Ohtani.
No.
We're not like, we're talking, so
not even talking his first really Dodgers card. It's just a random card, but a cool design, and people latched onto it.
Yeah, really, really interesting. So you have a few different channels here. So eBay will still exist, I'm assuming. Like, there's still some fun. And for me as well, I'm just putting weird stuff that doesn't have many comps, that's worth my time, that I can split that. Basically, if I think it's worth 200 and this Al Kaline patch is one that nobody's seen in 20 years, I might put 210 on it and let somebody make an offer. See what happens, right?
And also Gary's 90s and 2000s store, that is I've been talking to Gary about this for 2 years. That is the perfect inventory for eBay. Yes. I don't think you could build a better, like, foundational inventory structure than what he's about to do. I'm so excited for him. I think it's going to absolutely crush.
Why do you think that's the case? I want to hear
the long tail stuff. If you have 30 to 40 people, and sometimes I have 50 or 60, if you have a card that people don't recognize the value, or you have to try to explain the value in 15 seconds, someone may not recognize what you're saying. Someone may not recognize the card, and it doesn't matter. When the timer's up, the card is sold. So the opportunity to have the card tell its own story on eBay in a 30-day period, a 60-day period, or the people that have potentially been looking for that, we talked about Miguel Cabrera, 2010 Miguel Cabrera gold refractor that they haven't seen in 6 years.
Yep.
Yeah, a gold refractor from 2010 or 2020 is probably going to be treated similar and whatnot, but that 2010 hasn't been seen by, many collectors in 15 years. So putting it on eBay with the opportunity for those collectors to find it who aren't on whatnot, who aren't buying cards every day, who maybe collected it in 2010 and aren't collecting anymore, the opportunity is there for them to buy it. And that doesn't mean that you guys can't be successful with your 90s and 2000s stuff on whatnot or live selling, because I've seen you do it, because you've built the following. People know that that's what they're in there for. They know the players that you're going to bring, the card designs, and it's going to be an interesting, different show that they might not see. So
real interesting philosophy there. Yeah. One thing, I'm sorry for jumping in.
You're good.
I noticed that, and that may be the reason why I lean into more on pre-bids with live selling. I try to find this balance of how do people have a chance to see what this is. So, like, I have tonight on a show, which this will have already aired, or this will air after the show, but a Metal Universe Kobe, like cards that they have the eye appeal, but the average collector that's maybe been in it for 3 to 5 years doesn't know. About $100 card. Right. But just by giving somebody a chance to take a peek at this before the show starts, or even in the show, not to feel rushed on it. Yeah. It's a space where there's a little bit of more of a knowledge delta for people to cross. And I think that helps with that. And that's a great point. Like, when you're thinking about your whatnot inventory or live selling inventory, people have 15 seconds to make a decision, 20 seconds, 30, whether you do
Correct.
sudden death or whatever. If it's
Whatever
30
you wanna
seconds
call
with
it, yep.
extensions, that's not a long auction,
It's still less than
especially
a
on
minute.
something. Yeah. Has this sold 5 times in the last month? You probably got a good chance to get your info. If this is sold twice in a year, you're depending on a portion of the people in your room to have that knowledge, to appreciate the value, and to potentially get you to comps. If you can't check those boxes, I hope you bought it right. And I hope you're okay at like 60 to 80%. And a lot of times you can be if you bring in the right $3 and $5 and $10 stuff that people like.
And those people that bought that at 60%, they know what they bought. They're excited, and they're probably going to be back. Especially if you say, especially if you say, hey, like, I really appreciate you. And Gary talked about it himself, where sometimes he has like a little bit of a negative vibe after something undersells. I've done it myself. I'd love to say I'm this perfect reseller that always keeps it positive. Absolutely not. You can feel it, and it hurts sometimes. But the reality is, I put that card up for sale and it sold. If that person get it at 60%, the person before it was going to get it at 55.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm thrilled that it sold. I need to keep that in mind, and the ability to sell as fast as we do on Whatnot or other live selling platforms makes up for that value in a lot of cases, because you're getting it back in other places, hopefully, in theory. But the idea is, you are going to sell cards under comps. It's going to happen. I would say 20% to maybe 30% of my cards, especially the stuff that's over $30, $40, almost always undersells.
Yes.
And I know that it's okay, because I'm building repeat buyers. I'm building something here, and I'm getting some back on the $1 to $5 stuff that, like you just said, I buy it right. I know what I'm looking for, and I know the players I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think so like the perfect example of a player that kind of bridges this gap is Griffey stuff. So like you're going to have $50 cards that a lot of times you're going to get $40 for. And then you're going to have $5 inserts that every single person in the room knows is a $5 insert, and they pay $15 because they haven't seen it and they want the card and they're thrilled. And you can't do that with a sub B level prospect that's struggling in high 2A ball. Like it's not, they saw real pitching. Like it doesn't matter that it's to 25. It doesn't matter that it's a tough hit. It doesn't matter that it's pop 1. You have 15 seconds and I'm not impressed. And I think the thing that a lot of sellers struggle with is they take that 80% sale as failure. Instead of saying, hey, that's weird. What just happened there? Did you notice that every blah, blah, blah over X amount of dollars that I was expecting this on did this? And if you see 3 weeks of that, you have uncovered something that's going to help your business. It's not a repeat failure. Now you know. So I need to sprinkle in desirable cards that are in a 5 to 15 range. And that is going to more than make up for the person that got a great deal. And guess what? I need that person to lift my average. So have nuts buying stuff at 80% for $40. So I think the mindset when that happens is super important. Like, what am I going to do about this information?
And it is hard. I can't tell you to show up and expect like, oh, I have to be cool at selling stuff at 60%. Absolutely not.
Right. Nobody's
but learn from it. Learn from it and try and do better. And like you just talked about after the show, think about like, what could I have done better? Why did this card or these cards or this player underperform on multiple occasions? And learn from it. Knowledge. Just stack the knowledge. We talked about it before we started recording, but the Whatnot or live selling, like every time I go live, it's a different show. Like it is like I'm having a brand new food every time. And I have one single brick from the other show that is building on. I'm building with one brick at a time. But each show is different, and just try and react to your chat. What are they buying? What's selling well, and lean into that. And sometimes it's okay to just be like, guys, this isn't going well, and shut it down for the night. That's okay. Because those people that are in there, they're very likely going to find another show right after you log off, and hopefully they come back. But if not, that's okay too.
Yeah, they're not grieving for you, but they will shoot a message like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, that's how you know you build a community, when they're like apologizing that they bought so well. And then as a seller, I'm like, never apologize. I know you'll be back. Get your deals. As the community grows, it's going to be tougher to get these kind of deals. So I'm happy that you got it.
Yes.
But it's
not
hard,
a single
man.
buyer needs me, but I need every buyer. Not a single buyer needs me as a seller, but I need them all. So
that's a great perspective. So
that's how it is.
Are there yet things that you've realized that while it's a moving target, inventory, we're primarily leaning on what inventory is being responded to consistently, right?
Sure.
And I think the other thing growing brands and live selling have to realize is there's a fluctuation in audience. There's a threshold. I think we're at like 11,000 followers on Whatnot. We're
Sure.
just now starting to hit a consistent range on viewers. And I think because we have some 90s, 2000s, it's a little tougher because it's already niched a little bit.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you have the people that do come into your show are dedicated. They know what they're looking for. I'd rather have 50 approved strong buyers who know what you're selling than 100 who 30 of them are interested in what I have.
Right.
So you guys have built a strong audience. And I know people are going to lean into like follower count and why that's important. But I'll tell you this, I have 2,200 followers at the time of this recording. I don't do giveaways. I don't lean into like trying to build the follower count. I usually say it once or twice a show, be like, hey, if you guys enjoyed this, I'm going to do this again on Sunday. Give me a follow. But I want people to come in and be there because they're enjoying the show, not necessarily just because they follow me or because I'm doing a giveaway.
Right.
Because I don't think, and this isn't a shot at anyone who does giveaways or people that participate in them. That doesn't always mean that they're going to come back. That just means they hit the follow button to try and win this card.
Right.
So, follower count, it can only help, but also don't stress out if you don't get followers right away or you don't have a certain amount. Build a good show, bring good cards, and people will find you.
I think if there's one metric marketing wise within those platforms, like on Whatnot, it's called bookmarks. Bookmarks are relevant. Bookmarks are real because it's like the only way you're going to get a push notification out when the show starts. So if you're a newer seller and you've noticed, hey, 2 minutes in or 1 minute in, all of a sudden I was at 5 people and it just jumped to 15, the notifications probably hit and they came in. So if you're going to do that, I would advise people lean heavier on your bookmark situation and less about the follower.
And that bookmark, I mean, that's something you taught me, and it comes from scheduling your shows really far in advance. And maybe you schedule, every Tuesday and every Sunday. I think we both run very similar time frames.
Yeah.
But I was not scheduling out very far in advance. I would do 1 show, 2 shows. I just started experimenting with scheduling out multiple weeks because I kind of know when I want to run a show.
Right.
And you're 100% right. That bookmark number, I started to see that creep up, and the second I go live and it jumps immediately, which I did not have before. Instead of starting a show with 12 or 13 people, I'm starting with 30.
Yeah.
Because of the bookmark. So yeah, that's a very big point for people to lean into.
We do a lot of giveaways. I think there's a couple reasons for that. One of the reasons for us is because now Sunday's a mix of ultra modern and the 90s, 2000s stuff. So we'll have like a ton of the newer Chrome Cosmic baseball and NT football and stuff like that. But like my solo show is pretty heavy night. We try to make a point of realizing, hey, there's going to be people that do that with the Griffey. That's $5 comp that they want for 15 and they're happy with it.
Yep.
But we're going to try to like give away 15 to 20 giveaways that are decent in the show. When we started saying, hey, like we did a Randy Arozarena Topps Chrome Trophy Cup Orange to 25 as a bookmark giveaway. At any point in the show tonight, if the next 3 shows have 75 or more bookmarks, we are going to stop what we're doing. We're immediately giving this card away. Hey, Givey Goblins, you're not even going to have to wait 5 minutes. Go get your buddies.
Go bookmark
Go tell your friends. Let all you rats come in here. And we'll just say it like that. Like we just have fun with it.
Sure.
But that marketing expense has yielded the results right away. Whereas like that other giveaway is just like, if it's a part of your show, like we do giveaways, then it's more about that. But it's not affecting. So like last night I hopped in one of your shows.
Yeah.
You're running at a pace. I'd like for you to talk about what you've noticed about pace and live selling.
So for me, I was relatively anti-live selling because of the time commitment. I had to work 7:30 to 9:30, let's just call it, to do a 2-hour show at night. And I just wasn't in the mood for it. And I watched, so many people were talking about Whatnot before I finally joined. My brother told me a year and a half ago, he's like, dude, you will crush your personality. You know stuff. Just get in there. Just sign up. I was like, no, I don't want to. I eventually did. And the reason I did is I watched someone sell a Marcelo Ozuna refractor for $17. And I was like, no, I don't believe it. Let me see it. Let me prove it. Let me prove that wrong. So I signed up and I watched, I would say a mix of 5 shows, and I watched 5 people. And I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Love that. Don't like that. And then I just used those 4 things that I learned and ran a show. What I noticed that I thought absolutely made a impeccable difference, like just immeasurable, is pace. If someone comes into the room and you do not have a card for sale, why would they stay?
When you say that, what do you mean? When they don't have a card for sale?
So there's nothing on a stand right in front of them to swipe on. Even if you're looking for something, you're trying to build requests, put something on screen for them to bid on. My biggest thing that I think I see a lot of new sellers struggle with, and I'm not saying that it's easy to do, is just go a little bit faster, always have something for sale. One of the things I did for my very first show that I saw someone else do was they had an on-deck card. The card that you see on screen is what you're bidding on, and in the background is a second card that will be next as soon as that card sells. And for me, I've gotten just the pace down of as soon as that card sells, put the next one up, hit next. And in the 15 seconds that card is running, I can sticker, I can pull the next card, the next two cards, I can look for a request. So it gives me the opportunity to keep going and always have a card for sale, because when someone jumps in a room, they want to bid. They want to buy cards. They're on the app to buy right now.
Yes.
So when they open that app,
what happens if that card, there's nothing in front of them,
right?
And it's been 5 seconds. They're going to do this.
Yep.
And then they're going to spend money because somebody has a card for sale.
Yes.
And if they don't, there's a second that just passed. What do you think the attention span is?
I think it's under 15 seconds, and I say that. Even in the reality that a card is for sale, if it is for sale and it's at 15 seconds and they're not interested, they can swipe, and they will.
Yeah.
And the reason I put that secondary card and the card in the background is not only do I maybe get 15 seconds, I might get 30 now. If they want that card in the background, I might get 30. But then once I switch those cards and the card in the background, maybe I get 45 seconds of their time. And I know for me, I sell lower end modern baseball. If I can get one bid, I'm in good shape. Because once they cross that shipping threshold, the opportunity for them to bid more, buy more happens a lot faster, and happens for a longer time because I'm moving as quick as I can. I tried 10 seconds one time. I can't keep up because I'm pulling. It's too fast. You know, we use stickers. You guys use stickers. I say we. Yeah. It's me. It's just me running this, by the way. I put a sticker on the sleeve. Yeah.
Our large business.
Yeah. I put a sticker on the sleeve of the card, and then I put it back in the top loader and I set it to the side. That takes 5 seconds at minimum every single time. And then I'm also trying to pull that card, the on deck card, and fill requests for the chat. 15 seconds is already a struggle. I tried 10 seconds for probably 20 cards, and I was like, guys, I can't breathe. I need to move this back to 15 seconds. And I know that there are people who are 10 seconds isn't even long enough, or isn't quick enough. They want it 5 seconds and sudden death. They want it and on to the next. I can't do that by myself. I don't think I want to do that even with someone. That's too fast. That's too stressful. I know you guys had Logan on, and he talked about how like you'll eventually go to sudden death to move more volume. Maybe that's the case, but for now, I'm not interested. And I, for a while I would have said, I'll never go to sudden death. I can't say I'll never do anything anymore. I would have said, and I have said, I'll never do whatnot. Here I am. I'll never do, I'll never do breaks. And then I broke for 3.5 years because people weren't good at it, in my opinion, or doing it how I wanted to enjoy a break. I collected low-end Guardians players, Indians players at the time. I wanted to see every card. Show me the Jason Kipnis base card, please. So, there's just evolution and adaptation to everything that we do. My personal business in sports cards has changed so many times. I used to be a single seller. Then I was a breaker. Then I was a high volume seller. Now I would consider myself a live seller more so than anything else. I'm moving more cards on live selling platforms than I am anywhere else.
Say that again to yourself and just let it sink.
I know.
Deep down into your soul. Yeah. You brought up that point, Logan brought up about, sudden death and volume and this, and they're on 3 or 4 days a week for 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
They have built the engine is built for volume. And I want to just pause here and say they've proven that it works.
Yes.
It works.
With no doubt about it.
There are also people who do 2 or 3 hour to 2 hour shows a week that absolutely rake in their shows. There's about 100, 150 auctions. Yeah. They have built a community that's very niche down and anticipates what that show's going to be. And they don't need sudden death. And they would say, I make 30% more because I don't do sudden death.
Yeah.
So I think it's all I'm trying to make the point of is like, I think a lot of live sellers got to realize you will find a lane that fits with your business model, your personality, your goal. And a lot of it's going to be determined by sourcing. So let's go there for a minute. I'm having a blast this interview, by the way.
We could go
you're
for
giving some
hours.
great info here, Jaycob.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your business model of live selling, a question most people launching their business don't think to start with is, what can I buy?
Yeah.
What can I buy every week?
You and I are literally the exact opposite here. You and Gary set up at shows. You guys run tables. I walk tables. I haven't set up at a show since I was 16. I've always walked them, and I enjoy it more than I ever thought I would. I originally was anti-card shows because I assumed that everyone was going to be as sharp, and this is going to sound egotistical. They were going to be as sharp as me, and they were going to have every single card priced correctly or a little above.
Yeah.
That's impossible. Think about pulling out 1,000 cards right now and pricing them all and going to a show tomorrow and that all 1,000 cards are priced correctly.
Right.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
And there's dealers that run, Gary used to do it. I bought a ton from him when he had value boxes. Those value boxes are not his concern. He used those to pay for the table, and he was thrilled to sell cards out of them. I am so intertwined with the game of baseball that I know on a day-to-day basis who sells better the next day, the next week. So I used my just like intent of watching and understanding baseball, listening to a daily fantasy podcast, who performed well. Is it sustainable? What's actually happening behind the numbers? Is it a little bit of luck? Is there exit velocity up? Is there break movement on their curveball up a little bit? So stuff like that. Is it sustainable is more important for a player than anything else.
Yeah.
But that essentially just gave me the fuel to start looking for these players maybe a week before everyone else. Or like I talked about, Tyler Soderstrom selling from my store. I go out the very next weekend and I'm looking for Tyler Soderstrom in $1 to $5 to $10 value boxes, orange refractors, whatever it was. That used to be a $5 card. And in a week, it's now a $10 card, a $12 card. So I enjoy going to card shows. I think the number one tip I can give anyone, if you're going to go to a card show right now in Ohio, you better get there early. The foot traffic at card shows is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
I've left multiple shows in the last 2 months because I couldn't get to a table. And when I say get to a table, I mean a single table. I could not walk to a table. There were so many people there. So if you're going to be walking card shows, get there early, take at bats. You just have to keep going. So I go to card shows once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week if I can pull it off. And then, just be easy to work with. You guys talked about it on your show. At this point, it'll be a couple weeks ago about your interactions. If you're easy to sell to, you're going to get better deals.
Yep.
You don't need to beat everyone up for $5 because while you were negotiating over that $5 and giving the vendor a hard time, there were 2 more tables that you could have hit and someone else just got deals along the way. That's one of the the reseller people that I follow. That is one of their main things. If the card's good at a good price, grab it and go. On to the next. There's so many good deals available. If you're worried about the $3, maybe it's not that good of a buy anyway. On to the next. Yeah. It's okay to move quick, but just be easy to sell to, and you'll build better relationships. I'm meeting someone today is a Wednesday. We're recording this on a Wednesday, but I'm meeting someone on Friday. And we are doing a deal in person. He lives in Cincinnati. I live in Westlake, west of Cleveland. We're 3 hours away. We're doing a deal in person because I'm so easy to deal with. He has great inventory for what I like to do. Yep. He wants to deal in higher end stuff. So we're doing a deal in person for a bulk. And, I'm saving an entire card show weekend if I wanted to. I won't because I grind too hard. I'm meeting him on Friday, doing a show on Saturday and a different show on Sunday because the opportunity we have it very good in Northeast Ohio. The opportunities for card shows and how many options we have on a weekly basis is so strong. Yeah. And that's not lost on me. I know that everyone in the country doesn't have that opportunity, but I do. So I'm going to use it. That's my competitive advantage and I'm going to push it. I'm going to push the limits until it doesn't work anymore. So,
yeah. One of the things that you did early on, it was surprising to me that more people don't, is one of the first times you bought, I think it was even just a couple cards, you handed me a business card. And you said, I buy this stuff all. I think that's what led to us talking about eBay.
Sure.
And that card sat in my little Zion purse that keeps all my money for the shows for several months. And then later on, we had a message from you, and you and I kind of picked up from there. But I think don't underestimate, if you're buying at shows, the value you bring to that dealer. If they knew once a month Jacob's coming to my table, and if I have 100 cards he likes, he'll buy the stack.
Yeah.
I've got it. I already know where he likes to be and what type of stuff he's looking for. Yeah. And it takes a handful of those relationships monthly for your business to get a nice little uptick. It's really, so if you're selling that stuff, if you're, like Jaycob, where you're walking the shows and sourcing, introduce yourself, try to build relationships. And that's, and if a dealer's a jerk, mental note, all right, this is just transactional.
Yep.
But if somebody's cool, I just think it's so mutually beneficial, because for Gary and I, we may be buying, 10 cards we want, but we have to take a 4-row we don't. That's how it works sometimes. Yeah. And if I knew that I can liquidate 30% of that to Jaycob without even having to work for it, what are we doing here? Right. And I think people overlook that opportunity.
And I show up, like I'm there, I'm out at a card show every weekend. Do I go to the same card shows? Honestly, no, I try not to. Right. Broadview Heights is a great show. I try and go to that once every 3 months, because, you do see a lot of dealers if you're in the same dealers, if you're in the circuit over and over
again. Yeah.
But I try and hit different ones. And I will say that, like, you and Gary have been like a very great resource before we even exchanged anything, just because you guys have your branding and stuff like that, but you're easy to work with. It's not hard to buy cards from you and have an understanding that you guys are priced fairly. You are perfectly okay that I'm a reseller, because you get yours, I get mine, and we're both happy. I have a very specific story about this. Gary and I met Washington P. I think this was our second or third deal. He had a Julio Rodriguez 1/1 from Stadium Club. I want to say it was 400 or 450. I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, "You're underpriced on this." He said, "I don't care. This is what I would like to sell this card for." He's like, "If you sell it for more money, we both win."
Yep.
I was like, "All right." And I bought
These
that
guys
card.
Are idiots.
I bought that card and $1,000 of other stuff, and I sold that Julio Rodriguez for $650 1 hour after I left that show.
And Gary probably would have given you a high five. That's awesome.
I told we both straightforward. Yeah. Yep. And I bought from him. That was actually the second time I met him, because another time I bought Heritage Autos from him. I told him, "Hey, I'm going to grade these. They look great." He's like, "Good luck." Both 10'd. I came and gave him a high five. I was like, "Dude, these are in my PC. Thank you for the opportunity." Yep. And it's been nothing but positive experiences since. And like you said at the beginning, this is probably 2 years going now, where we've been seeing each other, buying and selling to each other. And it's been a really good resource. And, the whole idea of your show, you can do it multiple different ways. You can set up at shows. You can walk shows. You can do a hybrid. I see people that set up at shows and walk the next one. So there's different ways to do this and run a business. And I don't want to say that you have to do exactly what I'm doing. You have to do it exactly how Jason and Gary are doing it. Just enjoy what you're doing. Be easy to work with, and opportunities will find you.
Yeah, I would say the same thing as you when it comes to sourcing. Find your lane, but also if you're doing live selling and the tension you run into is, I feel like I'm paying too strong because I can't find enough stuff, so I'm paying up on the Otanis that are like, cheaper refractors that people are loving right now, and I'm paying up on this and I'm paying up on that. But if you're not going to a show, you're literally removing, if it's possible, you're removing the opportunity for that margin.
Yeah.
It is a choice. And honestly, I know nobody wants to hear this, but if you want to scale your low-end card business, your live selling business, it's going to cost you some Saturdays.
Yeah.
That's how this industry works. This industry works that way. And I've got kids too.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all times. But if you're saying, I just can't figure out, and it's just impossible because I can't find cards, and you're trying to source everything on eBay and whatnot, you can, but you're making it harder on yourself than it has to be. And I think you'll find yourself far more efficient and buying time back in the week if you just go walk a few shows and start building some stacks out.
Yeah. And you kind of were about to touch on it. Every show is not going to be a good show as someone who walks. No. You guys have a pretty safe baseline for the most part. You have regular buyers. I don't always have a good show, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Sometimes it's hard to find good deals. Doesn't mean I walk out empty-handed. I'll buy something because I love cards that much. Right. But then you have to pivot and you have to find a new way. There is opportunity to source on live selling platforms, specifically from me. If you like $40 cards, most of my stuff undersells. But in that same breath, I try and work in card shops then. You guys talked about New York Cards, and I immediately went there within probably a month to check out their singles. And while I was there, that's 2 hours from my house. I just hit up every card shop as I circled all the way back home.
Yeah.
So I hit up Midwest. That was I know you said that in one of your videos, their pricing is a little strong. For me, ultra modern baseball, sweet spot at Midwest for me.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah, I love that. I will make a trip just to go there.
It's a cool spot.
2 hours.
It's a really cool spot.
Hit up Wario's right there to get a sandwich. Whew, it's a good time. And then you can go walk through the market if you want to get something else. That's a very cool location right by the Blue Jackets arena. So, but yeah, you have to be able to just work different ways. The card show scene is great for me, but I can also pivot to card shops. I can pivot to online buying. And you do have to, just have different opportunities to buy and build relationships.
Why do you know it'll work in any of those areas if it has to? I don't think most people realize this. Why do you think, like, if you're in a pinch on inventory, what I'm hearing you say is, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But you're not exactly sure where it comes from every week. Why is that? Why are you sure?
There's so many cards for sale everywhere. And I think my knowledge base gives me this foundation that I won't fail. I may not buy as much as I wanted to. I may not buy the players I wanted to, but I know that I have enough of a knowledge edge that I can find some arbitrage somewhere. And some weeks is always going to be less. For me personally, I've run 7 whatnot shows in 10 days because it's spring training hype. I have the inventory to do it. It's World Baseball Classic. It's the start of the baseball season. I know that my opportunity is right now. So that knowledge, I have to go multiply that out in the world of finding, like we just talked about, card shows, meetups online, Facebook, card shops, other buying opportunities, whatever it might be. I have to find it. But I do know that I have a slight leg up because I'm just in it. I'm always in it. Blowout forums. I sound like an old man right now. Blowout forums, they always have a thread on every new product. Within that thread, we usually get odds posted. We usually get some info from people that get it early or rip it on release day. Yeah. Hey, these are actually more rare than we thought. These are printed more than we thought. So now I know to look for those cards in boxes. Perfect example, 2025 Heritage High Number. Short prints used to be 8 per box. They went down to 2. Those short prints used to be worth $2 a piece. Now they're worth 10, 15. The Kurtz was 30 for a minute. It might still be. I haven't found any in a while. But knowing that everyone who's ripped 1 box or 2 boxes of Heritage in the last couple of years throws that stuff in a value box, I'm now targeting Heritage High Number short prints as something to put into my Rolodex and look for.
I ripped 2 hobby boxes, and I just put everything in a 2-row. I need to go back through it. I haven't even gone through. I need to check
short prints. There you go.
Need to check it. Yeah. So I'm going to ask a question here as we're kind of rounding third base. Did you like that baseball pun?
I love it. I'm all here for it.
Yeah. So somebody walks up to you that has the right attitude. They have the work ethic, which is probably the toughest part for this space inside of cards. And they're like, I have a choice. I have to pick one to start with. I'm going to either start this eBay store or I'm going to commit to live selling. The assumption is that with the camera on, they make people enjoy the experience. Like they're a good personality for it. What are you going to tell them to do? You still want them to start on eBay?
I know for 2 years
it's okay to say yes.
I know every time I talk to you, I said eBay will always be the primary. And that shifted after one whatnot show because I saw how fast things moved. And something that we didn't talk about is that the cards that I had sold were sitting right next to me in order, ready to ship. I didn't have to pull them. I didn't have to locate them. I didn't have to find them and make sure that all my SKUs were correct. They were right next to me, ready to ship. I think it's personality based. I really do. But if you have the personality, I would say live selling now. I would not have said that on October 8th. That was the first show. I would not have said that. But the second I ran one show, I was like, this changes everything.
You reached out to me the next morning and we didn't touch base that much before that point. And you're like, I need to talk to you on the phone. Yeah. I was like, this guy's getting ready to sell me Avocare or something.
Yeah, right.
But he wasn't. He was telling me, like, listen, I know you're doing this. You need to hear what happened.
Yeah.
It was just it was revolutionary for your business, right?
I had no followers. I did not schedule the show. Whatnot had a promotion that if you sold 150 in your first 2 days or first 5 shows, whatever it was, I forget the exact parameters, they would match it. My goal was to sell some cards. I was like, I'll never get to 150. Let me try and sell some cards.
Right.
I pulled 60 to 80 cards and I went 15 seconds at a time. I probably sold 40 of those cards. My mind was blown. I didn't think those 40 cards were very good. Like I thought, wow, what if I actually tried? Like that is what went through my head. What if I only bought for Whatnot? What if I only bought liquid players? What if I only bought what people want?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is something that I can't replicate on a static platform, whether it be eBay, whether it be COMC, whether it be District. I don't think I can replicate it. A 3-hour show on Whatnot probably duplicates my best week on eBay. The best hope I could have on eBay as far as sales volume. Maybe I don't get the exact dollar that I want, but I get it tomorrow.
Do you need me to just head up to Northeast Ohio and with some team bags and we can batch up on this inventory and
start ripping through it? And maybe I do need that push. Yeah, maybe.
It's a really good problem to have. And I think there's a positive note in all this for those of you with the business that are trying to figure it out. And maybe some of it's working and some of it's not. This is a whole new lane, a whole new channel for you to move inventory through, a new opportunity to supplement your income, fund the hobby. But notice one thing that we haven't said. None of the two of us at any point have said.
All two of us, neither one
have said, go get the big stuff and get it right.
No.
Nope. We are saying cut your teeth on the low end when you learn a space. Because here's what I know. You were talking about sourcing and having bad shows, but I know something else that probably happens for you once a month. And that is you land at a table that has a value box and you're 5 seconds in and you're like, I have spent the right amount of time. I have failed with enough cards. I've succeeded with enough sales. I know what I'm doing here, and I'm about to extract a 10x value out of this box. And then it happens.
Yep. Yeah.
And that dealer is happy for you.
Yeah. And I'll add one more thing. Maybe, live selling personality does matter. I mean, Gary's experiencing it. He's having a hard time just enjoying it as much as we are.
Yeah.
But maybe use that to your advantage. Watch successful Whatnot shows and try and sell to those dealers. Maybe you can buy the exact same stuff that we do, but you build out boxes for someone who sells on Whatnot. Liquid players, interesting inserts, something with good eye appeal, and you sell to a Whatnot seller. This doesn't have to be a one lane, one option, only way to do this. When you ask me, hey, which would I do? I would do Whatnot. But the opportunity to sell to Whatnot, to sell on eBay, to sell on COMC exclusively, to only sell lots, there's just so much opportunity.
Yep.
Find what fits you. Find what you enjoy. If you're not enjoying it, don't do it.
Yeah, that's solid. I don't have anything to add to that. I want people to be able to engage with your content, to come to the shows. I love your shows because I always end up buying a few baseball cards whenever I pop in. I think I am the attention span guy. It's like, I'm going to see 30 cards in a very short window of time.
Yeah.
That is worth my time to see what's going on here. Yeah. And you add great commentary as well. So how can people follow you, engage with your content, find you on a show, go buy what's left of the eBay store before you shut it down,
Right. I think by the time this airs, because we are a few days behind, eBay will probably be down to, I hope, 500 cards. I'd love to get it down to about 1%, 500 solid searchable cards on eBay. But I'm at Wiffle Breakers everywhere on Whatnot. My eBay store name is Wiffle Breakers. On YouTube, I do post, 2 to 3 videos on short form on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts. I'm just out here just showing what I do. A lot of people don't necessarily think that they can do it, and I'm just here to show you what I do and how I do it. Whether you do it the exact way, great. Whether you learn one thing, I'm just showing you what I do, essentially, is what it comes down to. So at Wiffle Breakers everywhere. I'd love to chat, love to meet you guys. If you guys are at the shows and you see Jason and Gary, I'm probably somewhere within sight distance.
In the vicinity.
Yeah, I'm close by, but I'm also just flying around to the next table.
Yep. Awesome. Jaycob, I really appreciate your time. And I think people that gravitate towards this podcast have interest in the business side, and you have dropped so much experience and so many nuggets into this 1 hour that we appreciate the value you brought to the Ballcard show this week. And we really encourage anybody listening, give them a follow, engage with content, go check out the show. You're going to have a lot of fun. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you for having me. This was something we talked about many months ago, but I'm happy to just come on here and share knowledge. There's nothing that I can share that, like, there's no secrets that I have. I will tell you everything. It's all on the table. We're just here to talk cards, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Gary, tell everybody where to follow us before we get out of here.
You can follow us on Discord. Come join the community there. You can follow us on Whatnot because we sell stuff there. It's really fun. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this episode right when it dropped at noon today, you're about an hour in. Jason should be starting a show or have just started a show within the last 5 to 10 minutes at 1 p.m. Eastern time where he's selling off his eBay store. So go hang out there and buy some really cool stuff for pennies on the dollar. That's what people were doing the last few weeks. So should be fun for everybody. Make sure you give us a shout on Instagram, TikTok, like and subscribe here. We finally crossed that magical threshold with YouTube for monetization. Right now, I think we're making about $6 a week. So we're rolling in the cash, but it's a little something coming in the door. But everything you guys do to support us helps all those fronts. Like Jason said, you can find us at shows. Our show schedule is in our Discord, though. That's a community we're really trying hard to grow. So in the link tree that's in the description to this video, go and check that out.
That was beautiful, Gary.
You like that?
Yeah.
That's normally your move, but
yeah, you did great. This has been the Ballcard Show, the sports podcast.
For the sports collector.
Peace.
Peace.
Oh, come on. I tried to mess with you. It didn't even bother you.
Not a bit.